Far away in deep space, beyond every known star, something strange happened. A signal turned on. It was not a normal signal. It was very old, so old that even the oldest alien races had only heard stories about it. It was called the God Signal. This signal was not meant for normal beings. It was made for something higher gods or monsters. The ones who built it were gone long ago, wiped from the universe. But the signal remained, waiting in silence. Now, after 1 billion years, it was active again. In a quiet part of the galaxy, the Galactic Monitoring Council picked up the signal. The aliens in charge were ancient, wise, and powerful. But when they read the signal, they became afraid. It said only a few words. Answer, if you are worthy. Judgment will follow. The council held a secret meeting. No one wanted to respond. They knew the old stories. Every time someone had answered the signal, terrible things had happened. Wars, disasters, even planets disappearing. The council made a decision. Ignore it. Let it die again. But the signal didn't stop. It grew louder. On Earth, things were normal. People were working, laughing, and sleeping unaware of what was coming. At a small research center in Greenland, a group of scientists were working on a deep space listening project. It was a side mission, just for fun. Suddenly, the computers beeped. A strange pattern appeared. The team looked closer. Dr. Eliza Tran, the lead scientist, leaned forward. This isn't normal radio noise, she said. This is something else. Her assistant Leo looked confused. It feels ancient and intelligent. They decoded the signal as much as they could. The translation made the room go silent. 2. Gods or monsters? Come, be tested. Eliza felt her skin grow cold. Are we the first to hear this? Back at the United Nations Space Agency headquarters, the information caused chaos. Politicians, scientists, and generals argued for days. Some said, it's dangerous, don't respond. Others said, it's a chance. What if it's a gift? And a few warned, if no one answers, something worse might happen. Finally, a decision was made. Earth would respond, carefully, quietly. A message was sent back into the stars. It was short and simple. We are humanity. We hear you. For a few days, nothing happened. Then the stars changed. Astronomers saw something near Pluto, a shadow. Darker than space. It wasn't a comet. It wasn't a ship. It was something else. It looked like a black diamond, floating slowly toward the sun. Telescopes tried to scan it, but it gave no data. Probes were sent, but they disappeared. The world held its breath. In orbit, a team of astronauts were prepared to intercept the object. Among them was Commander Carolyn, a calm and brave explorer known for her sharp mind. As the ship moved closer to the object, the crew felt something strange. They weren't just seeing the object, they were hearing things in their minds. Whispering, ancient songs, forgotten voices. Kara closed her eyes and whispered, "This thing is alive?" Suddenly, the object sent out a pulse. Every screen went black. The ship floated in silence. And then, a voice spoke inside their minds. "You are not gods. You are not monsters." "Yet," you answered. Kara gripped her seat. "Who are you?" No reply, just a feeling. A presence. Back on Earth. Chaos started. All satellites showed strange energy spikes across the globe. Earthquakes. Magnetic storms. Animals panicked. The sky in some parts of the world turned red for a few seconds. And everything stopped. In the control room, Eliza stared at the final message on her screen before it went dark. "The test has begun." She turned to her team. "We just told the universe that we're here. And now, something is coming." In the cold silence of deep space, the black diamond shifted. Symbols appeared across its surface, glowing in gold and red. Something old had awakened Dot. It was watching, and it was waiting. Asterisk the black diamond floated near Pluto, silent but alive. It did not move fast, but every star around it seemed to dim, as if it was pulling light into itself. The humans on Earth named it the obelisk. No one knew what it was made of. No one knew where it came from. But one thing was clear. It had responded to Earth's message. Inside the UN command station, everyone was tense. Scientists from every country watched. A live feed from the spaceship near the object. Kara Lynn's team was the closest any human had ever been to something so old, so strange, and so dangerous. Kara floated in her ship, her eyes locked on the black surface of the obelisk. It had no windows, no engines, no lights, just black, pure. Black, darker than anything she had seen before. But now, glowing symbols were moving across it. Shapes that looked like circles, stars, and lines she didn't understand. Suddenly, her headset buzzed. A sound came through. It wasn't a voice, but a pattern. Like music, but broken. A signal. Leo's voice came through from Earth. Kara. The pattern matches a sequence we found in ancient ruins on Mars. It's some kind of language. Can we speak back? Kara asked. Not yet, but it's not attacking. That's a start. As the crew watched, the obelisk began to open. Not like a door. It unfolded like a flower made of shadows. From the center, a shape floated out. It wasn't a creature. It was more like a ghost, a thin figure made of shimmering blue light. It had no face, no arms. Just a tall shape, like a flame standing upright. Kara stared in awe. Are we seeing a life form? The figure moved toward their ship, but didn't touch it. It hovered, then stopped. In that moment, everyone felt something in their minds. A message. Not in words, but in thoughts. You answered the call. You will be judged. The entire crew heard it. Not through their ears, but inside. Their heads. Then the figure vanished. Back on Earth, panic spread. News channels leaked the signal. People protested, prayed, or prepared for war. Others stared at the sky in silence. The world had changed in a single moment. In secret, the Galactic Monitoring Council met again. The alien leaders were shocked that humans had made contact and survived. They were not invited. One alien hissed. They were not ready, said another. But they were heard, said the oldest one. The obelisk chose them. We must watch. 3 days later, the sky above Earth cracked. Not literally, but for a few seconds, a strange black ring appeared high above the clouds. It pulsed once, then vanished. At the same moment, the obelisk sent a second signal. This one was different. It showed images, flashes of a place not in this galaxy. A massive planet with golden towers, floating cities, and broken statues. A place of glory and ruin. Eliza stared at the images. Is this where the signal came from? Her computer lit up. A new translation appeared. You must follow. You must see. The world was no longer afraid. It was curious. Humanity voted to send a second mission. This time, with better ships, stronger AI, and more scientists. Kara Lynn was chosen to lead. Again, but this time she was not afraid. We sent the first message, she said. Now we go and find the answer. The obelisk responded. A soft blue light opened behind it. A portal shaped like a ring of stars. It shimmered with strange energy. Nothing like it had ever been seen. Kara's ship moved slowly toward the light. As they entered, her voice came through. If we don't return, tell Earth we saw something beautiful. The ship passed through and disappeared. For a few minutes, the portal stayed open. Then it closed. The obelisk folded itself again and returned to stillness. Earth waited. Then the sky above Earth lit up again, this time with a Message burned in the clouds. Trial 1 begins. Silence covered the earth after the sky showed the message. Trial 1 begins. No one knew what it meant. There were no attacks, no explosions. Just quiet. But soon, something began to change. In South America, the winds became wild, blowing in impossible directions. In Africa, the sun stayed hidden for 5 days straight. In Asia, the oceans started acting strange, rising and falling without reason. At first, people thought it was climate change. But scientists from around the world noticed something terrifying. The planet was being controlled. Satellites showed unknown forces pulling Earth's natural systems like strings on a puppet. The obelisk had begun the test. It was not here to fight with weapons. It was testing if humanity could survive nature itself, when nature was no longer natural. In a meeting at the United Nations Emergency Center, leaders from every country spoke at once. Fear filled the air. We're losing control of the planet. We need to shut down the signal. But Eliza Tran stood and raised her voice. We started this. We answered the call. We have to finish what we started. We survive this, or we fail the trial. Kara Lynn, now stuck in a strange place beyond the portal, sent back messages from the other side. Her words were slow and sometimes broken by static, but her warning was clear. This is only the first test. Do not panic. Stay united. Across the world, the greatest minds began working together. Scientists, engineers, and even weather experts formed one team, Project Horizon. They had only one goal: save Earth from environmental collapse. Solar shields were launched into orbit to reflect strange sunlight patterns. New underwater turbines were placed to calm rising tides. Supercomputers predicted storms before they formed. And then came the final blow. The Earth's core began to heat unnaturally. If it continued, volcanoes would erupt, earthquakes would break cities, and the entire world would fall. There were only 72 hours left. In a secret lab in Iceland, a quiet man named Dr. Yusuf Malik suggested something bold. We can cool the core. If we create a controlled chain of explosions below the crust, it will release the pressure slowly. Everyone stared at him. That could also crack the Earth, one general said. Eliza stepped forward. But if we do nothing, we die anyway. The world agreed. Within 24 hours, the plan was in motion. Mining bots dug deep into Earth's crust. Controlled charges were placed. The countdown began. As the charges exploded deep underground, the planet trembled. For a moment, it seemed the world would break. Mountains shook. Oceans roared. Then, quiet. Satellites showed the core's heat dropping. Earth had survived. People across the globe cheered. Not for their governments, not for their armies, but for the scientists, workers, and ordinary people who had stood together. The first trial was over. Above the Earth, the obelisk pulsed once. A voice entered every human mind. It was not loud, not angry, just curious. You struggle like the weak, but you choose togetherness. Unusual. You have passed the first trial. Then the stars above shifted. A symbol appeared in the sky, 3 rings spinning within each other. No one knew what it meant, but every human felt it deep inside. Something old was watching. And it was no longer just curious. Meanwhile, in the space beyond the portal, Kara Lynn floated in her ship. Around her were impossible sights, clouds made of crystal, lights that moved like rivers, and voices from other species who had failed the same trials. She looked at a ruined ship floating nearby. It belonged to the Dravians, a race that had once ruled half the galaxy. A voice whispered, they tried. They refused unity. They were erased. Kara clenched her fists. Humanity won't make the same mistake. As her ship moved deeper into the unknown space, a new path opened in front of her. Another test waited. But now, Earth had hoped out asterisk, the symbol in the sky, the 3 spinning rings slowly faded. Earth returned to a strange calm. Nature settled, the storms ended, and the oceans rested. But people across the planet still looked up at the sky, wondering, what comes next? No one had answers. Governments remained silent. Scientists were working nonstop. And Caroline's last transmission had been cut off mid-sentence. For 5 long days, there was no sign from the obelisk. Until something new entered the solar system. At first, astronomers thought it was just a star. But this star was moving fast. And it was alive. A ship, bigger than Earth's moon. Quiet, made of light and metal and shadow. It stopped just outside Saturn's orbit. Then, from within the ship, a single craft was launched. Small, elegant. Shaped like a silver tear dot, it flew toward Earth without asking. Everyone prepared for war. UN Council gave the order. Don't shoot unless it attacks. The silver craft entered Earth's atmosphere and hovered over the Atlantic Ocean. Then, it slowly descended onto a UN landing base in Geneva. No doors opened. No weapons showed. Then, light broke from its surface, and a figure stepped out. It was tall, thin, and covered in white and silver robes. Its face was hidden behind a glass mask. But when it spoke, its voice was clear in every human language. We are the Velari. We have seen the signal before, and we have watched gods fall. Inside the UN chamber, the Velari's words echoed. People didn't know whether to trust or fear them. Eliza Tran stood in front of the alien, trying to stay calm. Why are you here? The Velari's answer was simple. To warn you. They explained that long ago, their race also answered the signal. They passed the first trial, but not the second. The Velari chose pride over peace, power over understanding. And because of that, their homeworld was destroyed. Who sent the signal? Eliza asked. The Velari looked up slowly. No one remembers. But it still listens, still watches, still judges. At the edge of the galaxy, Caroline's ship moved through the strange space beyond the obelisk's portal. She was not alone. Other ships floated nearby. Some were old, empty, full of holes and scars. Ships from long-dead civilizations. Some still had bodies inside. Some still whispered in unknown languages. And Kara's ship picked up a new signal, faint and shaking. Help! This is Commander Vos of the Rylanth Empire. We answered the signal. They never let us go back. Kara tried to reply, but there was no answer. Just silence. And a drifting ship that vanished moments later into a river of black light. On Earth, the Velari gave a choice. Turn away. Do not take the second trial. You passed the first. Let that be enough. But Eliza shook her head. What if the signal doesn't stop? What if it keeps testing us anyway? The Velari's mask turned slightly. Then you are already doomed. But the UN voted once more, and the answer was the same. We will continue. That night, the sky cracked again. Not with sound or light, but with thought. Every human on Earth heard it in their sleep, in their bones, in their blood. A voice, deep and ancient, not cruel but endless. Second trial begins. The next day, nothing happened. No storms, no ships, no attacks. But strange events started spreading. In Tokyo, a man walked into traffic, screaming about the sky talking to him. In Brazil, a child drew a planet none had ever seen down to the perfect detail. In New York, thousands of people dreamed the same dream, a mirror showing them things they feared about themselves. Scientists called it a neurothought event. The Velari called it something else, the mirror of minds. The second trial had begun, not with fire or storm, but with thought. Humanity now had to face itself. Far from Earth. Kara's ship reached the center of the strange realm. Floating above a sea of stars was something massive, a giant mirror, not made of glass, but energy. It pulsed with memories, fears, and secrets. As Kara looked into it, she saw not just herself, but every mistake humanity had ever made. Wars, greed, lies, pain, then. Suddenly, she saw a vision of Earth breaking apart. A whisper followed, "If you cannot forgive yourselves, we will not." Kara touched the mirror. "We will try." On Earth, people began to see their worst thoughts, waking dreams of who they could become if they gave in to hate, fear, or power. Some screamed, some cried, but others began to understand. People reached out to those they had hurt. Cities lit candles in silence. Enemies shook hands. For a few days, the world became quiet and honest. Then, the sky whispered once more, "You do not hide from truth, you continue." And above the clouds, a golden ring appeared. Trial 2 was over, but something even more powerful waited next. Asterisk. The golden ring above Earth spun slowly. Its light touched every city, every ocean, every mountain. It wasn't just beautiful, it was alive. People who stared at it too long felt strange. Some cried, some laughed, some fell silent, and then came the next message. Not in the sky, not in sound, but deep inside every human heart. The final trial begins. This time, there were no warnings, no monsters, no storms, no voices from space. This time, the enemy was inside. All around the world, people began to feel something strange. Not fear, not pain, but doubt. Good people started questioning their own kindness. Leaders began doubting their choices. Soldiers laid down weapons, unsure why they had ever lifted them. Scientists stared at their work and asked, "Is this right?" It spread like a quiet wave. Some called it peace, others called it weakness, but no one truly understood it until dreams began again. In their sleep, people saw the mirror of God's. It looked different for each person, but it always showed one thing: the future. Not just one future, but many. Some saw Earth as a golden world, full of light and music. Others saw fire and smoke, machines controlling humans, people fighting over nothing. Some even saw Earth empty, forgotten, cold, silent. In every version, a voice asked only one question: which one will you create? Back in the strange realm beyond the portal, Kara Lynn stood before the real mirror of God's. It floated above a black ocean. Its surface shimmered, alive with images. She saw herself. She saw Eliza on Earth, speaking to world leaders. She saw the Villari, watching from their ship in fear and awe. She saw a possible future. Earth rising into the stars as a peaceful power, leading broken empires to healing. She also saw another, Earth burning, divided, forgotten by the galaxy. Her knees shook. Then the mirror spoke not in words, but in emotion. Gods create futures, so do monsters. What are you? Kara whispered, "We are only human." The mirror did not answer. On Earth, things grew stranger. People began sharing the same thoughts. Enemies spoke the same words. Children across the world drew the same pictures of a city in the stars, built by human hands, floating between galaxies. Was it a sign? Or was it part of the test? In war-torn regions, soldiers began laying down arms. Ceasefires broke out, not by orders, but by choice. Old rivals met without hate. And yet, fear still lived. Some groups believed the signal was a trick to weaken Earth. They wanted to fight back, to build weapons, to resist whatever came next. Eliza Tran stood in front of the UN once again. Her voice was steady. "We've been given a vision, not a gift, not a promise, just a choice. This isn't a fight of ships or weapons. This is a test of our soul. The room was silent. Then the Velari leader stepped forward. His glass mask cracked open for the first time, revealing eyes that burned like stars. "You have surprised us," he said. "You were not meant to pass the first trial. You were never expected to pass the second." Eliza looked up. "Then why did you return?" The Velari paused. "Because we saw something unfamiliar. Hope. Above Earth, the golden ring cracked open like an eye. From within, a beam of soft white light reached down, touching the tallest mountain, Mount Everest. No one knew what would happen. So, Kara's return was sudden. Her ship burst through the portal, scarred but whole. She stepped out on the mountain, as if guided by fate. The mirror had sent her back, and behind her came something else. A new structure floating, glowing, shaped like a star. A gift, a message. The final signal echoed in every human mind. You have seen yourself. You have chosen truth. You are not gods, not yet. But you may build what the gods once failed to keep. Across the world, the light faded. The golden ring vanished. The obelisk near Pluto turned dark and silent again. But something had changed. Humanity had not been given power. They had been given something rarer. Permission. To grow, to unite, to choose their future. Eliza stood with Kara and whispered, "Did we pass?" Kara looked to the stars. "I don't think there was a pass or fail. I think we were asked to be honest, and we were." They turned as the floating star structure began to hum. Inside it, knowledge waited. Ancient, powerful, but neutral. It would not rule them. It would not save them. It would only offer what the gods once had a chance to build something better. Asterisk, the star-shaped structure floated high above Earth, silent and waiting. It did not glow like a weapon. It did not move like a machine. It simply existed, full of power, full of silence, and full of choice. No one claimed it. No one controlled it. But all of humanity felt it, as if it was watching, patiently. The world had changed. Carolyn stood at the base of the structure, on a special platform floating just below it. Scientists, leaders, and thinkers from all over the world had gathered behind her. Eliza was there too, her eyes filled with both fear and wonder. A soft voice echoed from inside the structure. Not a voice of a god, not an alien, not a machine. It was a voice made of thousands of thoughts. Humanity's own voice. You have faced the mirror. You have seen what you are. You may now choose what to become. Inside the star structure, doors opened smooth, silver, and silent. Kara entered first. What she saw wasn't control panels or weapons. It was history. Holograms floated in the air, showing memories from across the universe. She saw civilizations that had risen and fallen, planets that had turned into dust, beings that had once controlled galaxies, but lost everything to pride, war, and fear. Memory repeated again and again. A race, long extinct, who had created the signal. They had once called themselves the Shapers. They built the trials, not to punish, but to find one species who could break the cycle of destruction. But none had. Past until now. Eliza entered behind Kara and gasped. "This isn't a test anymore," she whispered. "This is an invitation." Kara nodded. To be better than those who came before. They walked deeper inside the structure. The walls changed around them, showing Earth's past, its pain, its beauty, its failures and triumphs. And then, Earth's possible futures. One future showed Earth leading a peaceful alliance of species. Another showed Earth forgotten again, destroyed by its own fear. And one more showed Earth standing alone, but shining like a sun across the stars. Kara touched that vision. The structure pulsed. Back on Earth, People were watching from every screen, every channel, every rooftop. Then, suddenly, the structure above them changed. Shape. It opened, wide, forming a floating city. Not a weapon, not a throne, but a bridge. New symbols floated above it. This time, they were not alien. They were written in every human language. The message was simple. Lead with kindness. Build with truth. Protect with courage. The Velari, watching from their ship far above, fell into deep silence. For thousands of years, they had waited, hoping but never believing that a species could pass the signal. Their leader turned to his crew. Tell the council, he said. The age of monsters is ending. The age of builders has begun. In the months that followed, humanity changed not through force, but through understanding. Borders grew softer. Weapons fell silent. World leaders stepped down for new thinkers. Teachers and dreamers. Children were taught not just science and history, but empathy. A new era had begun, the era of becoming. Kara. Lynn was chosen as Earth's first stellar envoy. She would represent humanity beyond Earth, across the stars. Through the ancient portals the structure now opened. Before her departure, she gave one final speech. We were never meant to be gods. But we were also never meant to kneel forever. We were meant to learn, to build, to reach. And now we will. As her ship passed through the golden portal, others followed. Scientists, artists, peacemakers, explorers. They carried no armies. Only ideas. They didn't go to conquer. They went to connect. Across the galaxy, lost races heard the signal again. But this time, it was different. It was no longer a challenge. It was an invitation from humanity. And the message was clear. We are not gods. We are not monsters. We are something new. And we welcome you. Back on Earth, the star structure glowed gently. It no longer judged. It no longer tested. It had found what it was looking for, not perfection, but hope. In the deepest parts of the cosmos, something older than time stirred, watching silently. Had once created the mirror. It had once watched galaxies burn. But now it smiled, not with a face, not with a mouth, but with peace, because at last someone had answered the signal and become more. Asterisk.